Have you ever wanted to make your own sauerkraut but just didn't know quite how to do it? Let me break it down for you. Hi, Cindy Nicholson here from realfoodwithcindy.com, and today I want to show you how easy it is to make your own sauerkraut. So why do you want to make your own? Well, first off, it's a natural source of probiotic, which means it's those little critters that are so good for your gut health. And then number two, if you buy sauerkraut in the grocery store, it's often pasteurized, which means there's no longer probiotics in there. And then if you do buy the raw sauerkraut, it often gets a little pricey. So this technique comes from nutritionist Sarah Ramsden, who has her own Fearless Fermentation online course. Now to begin, just take your cabbage and just remove a couple of the outside layers. Just set them aside so that's, because you're going to use them a bit later. Then you're going to shred your cabbage. Now you could do it any number of ways, whether you want to do it a food processor, a mandolin, or just plain old elbow grease. And then once you have it all shredded, you're going to add it to the bowl. Next up, salt. Now for a head of cabbage about this size, you're going to use about 2 tablespoons of salt. I've got a 100% natural sea salt here. So whatever salt you use, just make sure it doesn't have any additives. Now we're adding the salt to the cabbage here in order to draw out the moisture from that cabbage. So just mix it in, and then you can do what I do, which is give it about 20 minutes or so to rest in order to allow that salt to do its magic. All right, so after the 20 minutes, you're going to start to transfer the cabbage over to the jar. And as you transfer the cabbage over, you want to press firmly so it's squished right down to the bottom. And as you do this, you're going to notice some of the water is going to come up to the top. And this is a good thing because this type of fermentation is anaerobic, which means it's without oxygen. So you want to make sure that cabbage is pressed firmly down so it's below the water line. So keep going until you've got all the cabbage transferred. All right, once we have the cabbage added, you'll notice that the liquid rises to the top, and that's a good thing because we want that cabbage to be below that water line. One of the things I do to help that happen is I take the leaf that we took off at the beginning, add it to the top, so that holds that cabbage all down underneath. Once you've got that in place, you then put on your lid, and now it's ready for the fermentation process. So what I recommend is you can just put this on your counter. I'd recommend you store it on a plate because what you want to do after the first, every day or so is you want to burp your lids. Some of that gas is going to be formed, so you just want to make sure that that gas gets released. And then around the 5 to 7 day mark, you're going to have some spillover where some of it's going to expand enough that it's going to spill over onto the plate, which is fine. It usually dies down after the 7 days. Now comes the question, how long do you leave it for? Well, it depends. I usually would say at least a minimum of 10 days have it fermenting, and then when it gets to the flavor that you like, then I suggest putting it in the fridge, and there it's going to keep indefinitely. So there you have it, how to make your own simple sauerkraut. Now sauerkraut is a lot like your favorite little black dress. It works great on its own, but you can also dress it up too. So you can add things like shredded carrots or caraway seeds. Now I've got some tips below, but if you're ready to get fermenting, I strongly recommend Sarah Ramsden Fearless Fermentation online course. She teaches more about sauerkraut, but also how to make kombucha and water kefir. She also offers a private Facebook group where you really get an opportunity to connect with others and ask some questions. And for other tips of how to live a healthier life, go to my website at realfoodwithcindy.com and download the 7 simple swaps for a healthier home. Thanks so much for watching.